investor and controller courses.
What was the concept behind the analyzer course?
Well, the analyzer course was planned to be a highly integrated course incorporating disciplines of accounting, finance, and economics, and we were trying to make this a seamless transition from the previous investor and controller courses, and that was our concept.
It definitely was a seamless transition.
Thank you. That was our aim. I got together with the different faculties that each had their responsibilities as far as the investor and the controller section. And we got together to try to make sure that, well, first of all, that there was not so much of an overlap. And it's difficult to do because some of the concepts in finance or accounting you really need to have a basic understanding of. So you will talk about some similar issues to a certain extent. However, with the analyzer courses, we want to take it to the next step and do some actual analysis of cases and try to bring in some real-life applications into the course.
One of the things that surprised me pleasantly, I think, was the real practical application. We would actually discuss a topic, we would discuss the theory behind it, we would discuss the math equations behind it, but then we would discuss real-life companies. We would talk about valuations and beta scores, and not to get too detailed, but I was surprised at how practical everything was. I've taken courses that didn't really seem to have a real-life component to it, but we're MBA students because we want to take what we learn and apply it. And one of the things I was most pleased with was how I felt that this could be directly applied to a real-world position, an analyst position at a firm, at a finance company. So it was very, very pleasing.
At first, before the course outline was given to us, I thought the analyzer would actually be analyzing financial statements, but it was actually more than that. It was an in-depth analysis of a particular company. I guess a good example was the whole valuation exercise that we did in class. I thought was probably the most eye-opening and most intriguing exercise. It was amazing taking what we learned in class and applying it to an actual case study, and both of our groups became very, very close to what the analysts actually came up with when they were evaluating that company. So
the results that we came up with in the class was very impressive because I had used an actual case study of a merger and acquisition of a company where the professional investment bankers were to value this company to see how much the company was worth. And the company was worth $76.9 million. And most of the groups came up with a 74 million, 75, 76 million range. So it was very rewarding for me personally to see that the students are actually learning something and that the quantitative knowledge that they're gaining is really real life and that they really did mimic what these professional investment bankers were doing as far as analysis and valuation were concerned. So that's part of what we try to incorporate in the analyzer program, is not just the theories and the principles, i.e. just learning for the sake of learning without any real connection to the real world, but to show how does that really apply to what somebody is doing out there in the business world. And that's one of our goals of this analyzer course.
My undergrad was in finance, and I was trying to come up with a good analogy of how I would compare the finance I took then versus the analyzer course. And I would say that the finance classes I took in my undergrad were more of a shotgun blast of finance. It wasn't fine-tuned and it didn't have the amount of detail and honestly the amount of clarity that the analyzer course provided. I think relative to a shotgun blast, I'd say that this is more of a scalpel. It really got down and cut into the meat of what we're trying to learn, which in this case is analyzing the financial decisions that companies make. So in that respect, I got a lot more out of it, I'd say, than I expected. I think you expect to get more out of your MBA, and that's certainly what the analyzer course has been the case.
The idea is that it's highly integrated, number one, and number two, the idea that we have some real-life applications to it, and it's not just a artificial classroom environment where you learn something in class and you walk out of the classroom and you forget about what you learned because it doesn't really apply to you. And that's what we try to prevent.
Brings us into an environment where you're more of a discussion and demonstrating mode. I mean, you're not reading text to take a test or to take a final or to give a 15-minute presentation, but rather you're applying the text that you read and having a discussion with 18 other members in the classroom. And it's a very engaging discussion where, you're taking real world cases and discussing it with your peers and trying to come up with solutions that you wouldn't have otherwise thought of on your own.
I think hopefully the analyzer class and these courses are the type of course where you come out of class and you still remember it because it actually does apply to your career and to your jobs.